Alright. Let's get everything ready for an episode I'm very excited for. How's everybody doing? How does the sound? How is the sound, rather? Apologies for starting an hour early. I planned things very poorly and needed to start an hour early to be able to fit the stream into my schedule. Hopefully it's not too much of a problem. Just beat another playthrough of Kirby 64. Very nice. Cozy game. Love that game. We'll probably start before noon hits as well. I might go through these ideas at a bit of a faster pace than normal. If we hit a point where we just need to cut the stream in half, we will continue tomorrow. So we will still get to everything this weekend. It's just a matter of if we get to everything today. How's it going? That's a fantastic question. Fall semester starts on Monday, and that is quite stressful, but, like, it's progress. Life's moving forward. That's a good thing. It has been a bit since we've done one of these streams. And, okay, I also need to do full disclosure on this. Generally, I try to pick ideas based on, like, how often someone has submitted. Or, like, new people, or whatever. But there was... I'll be completely honest. I've just broken that rule for this one. There were a couple of them that I looked at and realized, no, I'm not going to be able to resist doing this one this time. And after I did 2 of those, I realized, you know, let's just try to customize a really fun stream. So if it ever feels unfair that, oh, I don't know, maybe a sequel to an idea we covered last time is also being covered this time, that's valid. But also, I really want to talk about that idea. Mostly playing multiverses in the background. I still prefer Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2 as a game. I can see that, yeah. What XCOM 2 for me? Create characters such as Lore, Chatty D, the Heavy, Dripped. Oh, the Heavy in XCOM. That's great. Anyway. We've got a lot to cover. And we have a short timetable to do things. So let's just jump right into all of this, shall we? Okay. First up, we gotta get to our beloved member submissions. They support me, I'll support you back. Are we gonna start with that one? I'm so tempted. You know what? Actually, no. We'll get to Akonu's in a second, but God damn it, I can't resist this. I can't. I love shit like this. Alright. So many of you recall a bizarre but brilliant idea from last stream that took the idea... I've got the artwork on screen right now. Of like, hey, what if Three Houses was set in an entirely different segment of the world? What if this was just a Sub-Saharan setting instead of a European setting? I think that's badass. And Tort has graced us with a sequel. Fire Emblem, 3 New Houses. By Tortoise, not Tortoise. What is this project? Well, project is a more official sounding way of titling this, but a few months ago I got inspired to ask the question, what if Fire Emblem Three Houses took place in Sub-Saharan Africa? Before I made it, in the moveset and a lot of the art for it, I was expecting this just to be a simple little thing where I changed up some of Byleth's moves in Smash Brothers and moved on. But, boy was I wrong. This turned out to be somewhat of both a dream and a nightmare, as I spent hours on research and rabbit holes just to figure out how to best name characters. In spite of everything, I don't regret the undertaking of this concept for a single moment. Went from just some funky redesigns to getting a chance to share African aesthetics and bits of cultures with a wider audience. Even if it's less than 30 people, it's still something cool to do. Disclaimer, the story idea is not fully complete. There are very big holes, such as the lack of cindered shadows, 3 hopes, and the golden deers not really having much in terms of concrete theming. This is mostly just due to my own lack of knowledge. For context, I have never played Three Houses. I know, shocking. I watched mainly Alpharad's videos mashing together his playthrough of the Black Eagle's house, which ironically ended at the time skip, before turning into Mank's full playthrough of the Blue Lion's house. This was almost 5 years ago. I was finishing up 8th grade, and now I've just finished my first year of college to showcase how long ago this was for me. So as a result, a lot of this will be formed off of lore deep dives and my memories of a Fire Emblem obsessed teenager. Note, there's going to be a lot of text unfortunately, so there isn't as much focus on visuals. I will try to break this up by having some sort of gallery breaks showcases, which are just some sort of image, meme, or artwork I did. Renames. New terms. Gray for Garrick Mach, red for Black Eagles, blue for Blue Lions, and yellow for Golden Deers. I apologize for any mispronunciations. Folden, Ohema. Byleth is Baida. Sothis is Sigui. Archbishop Rhea is Grandi Mama Ses. Seros is Abaroya. Garrick Mach Monastery is the Great Gemb Mosque. Edelgard, Kayuna. The Adrestian Empire is the Holy Kingdom of Nizambi. The Flame Emperor is Afrit King. That's badass! Hegemon is the False Afrit. Brigid is Padua. Dagda is Louvain. Crests are Vevis. Something like that. Dimitri is Zwelik. Holy Kingdom of Fergus is the Ubudoda Empire. Mercedes is Mikulu. Tusker is Suna. Claude is Jabali. I can't even pronounce Lychest. Fuck! God. The Golden Deer place. The allied Kilwani nations. This one's easier to pronounce than what they have in Fire Emblem. Elmira is Malskus. Nemesis is Equinsu. And the Garthans are Akelbans. Aesthetics. The aesthetics of the first half of the story will be very Sudanu-Sahelian, to which, if you don't know what that is, it's a term referring to a range of indigenous architecture aesthetics found in the Sahel region of Africa, which ranges from modern-day Mauritania to Eritrea. It is characterized by the usage of the most abundant resources available to Sudano-Sahelian people of the Earth itself. More neutral browns, muddy yellows, grays, and whites would represent this area and what had become of the Silver Snow route. This top right one in particular, I love this aesthetic so much. The Djembe aesthetics in action. Some of the artwork we had last time. This is such a cool shot. Like, both in Smash Brothers Ultimate and here. Like, it's just neat. And that's Sothis as an Ifrit. That's awesome. Look at the Great Djembe Mosque. Masjid, rather. Aesthetics. Nizambi Adrestria. A big theme of both Three Houses and the new Three Houses is the duel of opposing forces and ideologies. Throughout the Middle Ages, from the influence of Islam clashing with the traditional folklore during the Mali Empire's rise to the presence of Christian missionaries in various parts of Africa. Abrahamic religion and traditional African religions have always clashed. Nizambi, the story's version of Adrestria, would see this clash at its max, flipping the dynamics of Adrestria and Fergus. Nizambi would include more Christian elements based off of the Kingdom of Congo and other Central African peoples. There's a notable clash between the more centralized kingdom and the decentralized traditional culture surrounding it. A bit of a tangent, I really wish original Three Houses had also dived deeper into this. Like, maybe kind of theme it a bit off of, like, Christianity overcoming, like, pagan traditions in, like, Lithuania or something like that. Theme a bit more of the classes of the Black Eagles around that. I'm not saying you should give Hubert, like, a Leshy skull, or to use it as a focus or a helmet, but that would have been badass. While it seems odd at first, Nizami also takes from modern traditions. The Kingdom of Congo would later become what's known as the Democratic Republic of Congo, or the DRC. And the Republic of Congo, born from the periods of colonialism in the countries as a style movement known as La Sape, one of the two. It is a movement focused on dressing to impress with practitioners known as sapeurs or sapueses. This doesn't mean that the people of Nizambi are going to be walking around in business suits, but it's another aesthetic to take into account when designing characters from the region. They're here to show off and be the most elegant and notable group in the room. Oh god, yes, I love shit like this. Culture swaps are so cool. I wish we'd see it more in media. It's the Chad version to the Virgin race swap, to actually take segments of the world and ask the question of, okay, how do these stories and settings shift and morph based on where you set them? It's so cool. For the Ubudora, Fergus, Ubudora is the most consistent aesthetic-wise, as it is most clearly taken from South African cultures, most notably the Zulu people. Ubudorans are sort of the traditional center of Ohema, focusing more on their own folklore rather than organized religion. They also take from both the vibrant spirit and the focus on community many African cultures posit. They also showcase the more unique aspects of African nations. For example, the lack of things such as traditional metal armor and cavalry due to being a nation focused on having a mobile army. Similar to Nizambi, I also took some modern aspects of Zulu culture for design inspiration, known as swanking. Those who participate in the practices are known as swankas, and this is not to be confused with les sub-supers. Swankas are migrant laborers living in poor areas of Johannesburg, South Africa, who also partake in showcases of elegance and style with a heavier emphasis on contrast. Their elegant manners of dress compared with more downtrodden conditions. In a similar manner, Ubudorans are motivated to persevere through tough circumstances. And there's Dimitri. God, it's so cool! Yo, are these bird mounts? Oh, that's bad. Oh, yeah, I love that. That's such a cool aesthetic choice. Just blue chocobos. Oh, I love that. Creatures. Since there's no real wyvern analog, I felt that Ubudorans could ride Impundulus. The Impundulu, aka Lightning Bird, is a mythological creature in Xhosa and Zulu folklore which has the ability to conjure lightning as its name suggests. If need be, this thing can projectile vomit a lightning bolt at enemies. And for the Kilwani Leicester, these guys got the most changes. While many suggested I make the Leicester Alliance into the story's version of Egypt, it wouldn't fit. So I ended up reorganizing things to focus more of the medieval Swahili coast. Inspiration has become home to a large variety of traders and cultures during this time period in history. Alongside Leicester, the Swahili coast is in part defined by its multiple diverse influences which impact the arts and architecture of its people. Unlike most influences, which were based on more specific United Kingdoms, there was no real big empire or hegemony for the Swahili people, which fits the Leicesters. Many researchers today compare the various Swahili city-states less to countries and more like corporations vying for power and control over coastal trade, which saw many citizens being non-nobles and foreign residents. This also means modern-wise, the focus is less on specific cultural aspects and more on the general, far-reaching soft powers and concepts. Kilwanians not only excel in trade, but also linguistics, arts, and technology. They're united by their differences and... God damn, did you hear that? There's a thunderstorm going on. I think a lightning bolt just hit a house that's pretty close by. Okay, where was I? They're united by their differences and focus on advancement through cultural exchange. If Iwadota is the old world and Nizambi is the transitional period, Kilwani is closer to the ushering in of a new world. Ah, yes! It's interesting how aesthetics-wise, Claude changes the least. That there's almost a bridge from old three houses to this new three houses, and it's through, gosh, what's it called? Where Claude? Elmira. It's through Elmira, geographically even, which is cool. Ah, look at this. Oh, this is interesting. Kind of swapping out. Oh, yeah, that's actually really cool, though. Because Petra and Dedu were from outside of the Adrestrian. No, what's it called? Foldland. So it makes sense that they'd be more European style characters here. That's fascinating. I love the gate. I just saw the gatekeeper. I love the gatekeeper so much. He's just chilling at the gate, making sure everybody's safe and secure. Oh, that's so good. Oh, and there's more! Constance, Lysithia, Shamir, Felix, Happy, Raphael, Ash, Ignatz. Oh, changing up the class. Oh, that's so good. This just makes me happy. Legendary times, creation. In the beginning, there was no creator, at least no known one, as a near infinite stretch of land was where the first humans settled. However, with the sea came monsters that soon populated ancient Ohema, and they cruelly tormented the humans. While many of these monsters reproduce with one another, some reproduce with humans to create Akrabans. Aberawa Zeros is one of these born from a mix of Sigwi, a Ninkinanka, and a human. Where Aberawa was very loyal to Sigwi, other Aklabans saw her as a golden child and believed themselves to be the best of both worlds, monster and human, while many of the original beasts began to see them as disgusting half-breeds. This starts a war between the OG beasts and the loyal Aklabans, and the rebellious Aklabans with the help of some humans. This war is surprisingly mostly even, as in paranoia some OG beasts murder their loyal Aklaban children. This war mainly changes when a human named Ekwensu comes into the picture. Ekwensu is very strong, with a condition similar to Zwelika's, a descendant of Ekwensu's, but on steroids. He's originally a bandit who collaborates with the Aklabans, who have built insane technology to try and win the war. At one point, Ekwensu comes to blows with Sigwi, who rips out his heart. Ekwensu then does the most sane and sensible thing, and proceeds to rip out Segwi's heart, and shove it into his own chest. This creates the first Vive, and Ekwensu and his 11 strongest men realize they can get powered up by consuming the blood of the strongest monsters and forging their bones into weapons. Sigwi runs to Aberewa, and hatches a 1,000-year plan to revive herself at full power. Most other OG beasts end up going insane and losing their intelligence from the trauma of this war. I'm about to go post that. I got my ass beat. I'm not posting that shit. Oh my god, combining it with modern black memes too. That's so funny. That's so good. Warning, I don't know if this class is nudity due to lack of genitals, but this next art piece will depict a humanoid without... give me a second. That's fine. That's fine. Ancient Sigui and Ikwensu. God, that's just better Nemesis. Seriously. I love that most of Sigui's face just isn't a face. You got the jaw, you got half of a nose going up, but the rest of it's just fire. Oh, and the shoulders too. Oh, that's so good. I got the same at the God. Gosh. The only reason that like African aesthetics and mythology and culture just isn't a bigger thing in modern pop culture is just that it hasn't broken in yet. Like, look at this stuff. Doesn't this just make you want to see games in this style? Legendary times in the aftermath. Having won the war, the Akobans get into a spat because they think they're superior to the humans. But using Sundiata, a bow crafted from the miscellaneous body parts of the OG beasts, Ikwensu, alongside his 12 strongest warriors, form the Mighty 12. Unfortunately, one member turns into a monster and eats another member, so just the Mighty 10. Either way, they beat the Akobans so badly they go into hiding. Aburewa gathers some humans who formed the first legs of the Yobodan Empire that were beginning to spread out due to the lack of monsters around the continent. Since Ikwensu turned out to be a really shitty guy who nobody likes, Aburewa gave some blood to the person who'd become the Nzambi king, and managed to kill Ikwensu herself. The Mighty 10 are hunted down and killed, but their descendants live due to the usefulness of Vives. This results in nobility and power dynamics, mostly being decided by one's Vive, with those who have Vives being above those who do not. God, that's so good! God, I can't tell if the hair is hair or fire. This is ascended form. Okay, no, I'm following. So this is Rhea / Asase in like traditional like religious leader form. And when she shows who she really is, this is what she looks like. That's so cool. Founding of the Kingdoms. With Nzambi founded by Aburewa, she goes under the new name Asase, alongside 4 of her siblings, who form the Great Imam Council to hide their identities. She also rewrites history to try and make Sigui seem like a benevolent figure, but the Nzambians have a very different version that doesn't include her. Centuries later, the Ubadodans and Nzambi waged war over a large chunk of land the Nzamvu owner across the coast, as it's a key strategic trading position. The offshoot tribes that got tired of being conquered banded together to form the Kilwani Alliance, and managed to beat back both weakened nations. Unfortunately, their position led them to suffering attacks to Maskars. But after this died down, they began to establish a culture of trade and diversity. While the Maskars had mostly stopped, the Great Djembe Mosque was formed to train students from all walks of life into becoming proper leaders and soldiers to protect the nations. Oh, right, the link! Sorry. Give me a second. I'm grabbing it. Hot your horses. I'm so glad we have that emote now. Copy link. Paste link. There you go. Current political situation. For the Nzambi practices a variation of the Masjid's religion which puts the two at odds. The most stable kingdom on the surface with a strong military that takes in surrounding tribes as vassals. Behind the scenes, a central council of nobles have stripped the king of most of his power. It is hungry for territories to convert, but doing so would start another war. For the Ubadora, traditionalist nations skeptical of the Masjid's religion, and especially non-Ohimans, high national pride being the first nation of in Ohimans and believe themselves to be true Ohimans. The king got assassinated during a diplomatic mission in Suna, leading to Zwelek. Oh my gosh. Kazwelethu being crowned as king. And for the Kilwani, smaller tribes have begun splintering off and rebelling against the Kilwani city-states, on edge due to trying to maintain city trade with inland and outsider nations, when tensions are very high after the Ubadodan's king's assassination in a foreign land. Many nobles are propagating mistrust of Jabali as the next sultan due to his mixed heritage. And their opinion of others. For the Nizambi, they think the Ubadodans suck, they don't follow our religion, they can barely read, and they sound weird. Barbarians who worship their king instead of the holy prophets. For the Kilwani, the trade is valuable, but the lack of faith is disturbing. A collective mess of fools who lack any form of unifying governing body or beliefs. To the Obadoda, the Kilwani are these guys really Ohimans anymore with all these mixing they've been doing? Traitorous serpents who can't appreciate traditional Ohiman values. You don't want to have to come over there and beat the sense of the zombie. Well, that's little more than empty threats and bravado just itching to get back into conflict. And for the Kilwani, they just want the Nizambi to chill out. It's just a few bedtime stories, all these religious stories. They're nuts who think they're tough because of how much land they have. This does make them easy to sell weapons to. And the Ubadodans are just boomers, too hung up on tradition and the past to envision the future. Masculinity with Quyana, Part 1. Alright, the big kahuna of thematics. This seems odd at first, but I really wanted to focus on this because it's kind of a small thing that resonated with me during my FE phase. Edelgard has always been a figure I kind of associated with due to themes of masculinity for some reason, and I explored it much more in Quyana's design, mostly coming in the form of the Ifrit King. The Ifrit King is this story's Flame Emperor, which, like, look at that design. But disguises itself using figureheads from the nomadic indigenous groups surrounding Nizambi, with the goal of framing these smaller tribes as the perpetrators of attacks on nobles. After all, if they're the culprits, then Nizambi taking them over no longer becomes, oh crap, they're going to conquer us, and more so, oh yay, they're handling these problems for us. They're so cool. But this divide in origin is also used to hint as themes of masculinity in Quyana. The mask of the Ifrit King has two bases, Kifwebi and Yaka masks. Yaka masks are made and worn by the Yaka during male puberty rituals, meant to serve as protection for boys during vulnerable times. Kifwebi masks are made by both the Luba and Songye peoples. This design leads into the Luba interpretations. Masks represented spirits and were differentiated by gender, with rounder hemispherical masks representing female spirits and elongated angular masks representing male spirits, alongside approved social behavior and strict social order. In a sense, this isn't just a voice change, but also taking on the symbolic clothing meant to represent masculinity. Though in a sense, this disguise also makes Quyana appear and be somewhat vulnerable. A big part of masculinity is in being naturally strong, enough to protect your loved ones, and control in having the final say over decisions. As with Edelgard, Quyana was a part of a Vave experiment ran by the Alcabans using the children of the Mweni Nizambi as subjects. She is strong, controlling, courageous, a natural-born leader. All traits, not necessarily male, but often expected of men. Quyana takes on visible, spiritual, and metaphorical masculine traits as the story moves forward in an attempt at owning and controlling her own life, which is at its climax when she becomes the false Ifrit at the end of Zwelek's playthrough. This is really well thought out. No, hit the mouse wheel, sorry. No big message necessary, just factors that influenced her design. This can be about toxic masculinity, societal expectations, or even a trans narrative if you interpret it as such. Here's the define. God, this was in the last one, but God, the changed demonic beasts are so cool. So you can kind of see the masks and the grass coming off of them, but it forms the whole beast as it goes. That's so cool. Similar to Quyana, Zwelok's cultural influence also ties into themes of masculinity. In fact, so ingrained that the name of the land, Ubadoda, is quite literally the Ishosa term for masculinity, and is seen throughout rituals where the boy transitions into the lightning bolt into the complex world of manhood. In transitions such as Uwalako, I think, not only do young men go through the circumcisions, but are also placed under certain taboos and conditions, such as being forbidden water. These rituals have gotten controversy in more modern times, as the practices are seen as unsafe by many, and fumbled rituals can lead to disastrous consequences. This idea of hardship not just being integral to being a man is Wellek mains conflict, as he internalizes this fact and often denies himself basic needs and self-care in a misguided attempt to man up due to his circumstances. Bida and Sigui, this is Byleth and Zolthus, as a reminder. With a change to being a malevolent entity, the relationship between Bida and Sigui naturally differs. At first, it's a bit comedic as Sigui is trying their hardest to corrupt Bida, who just brushes off their shenanigans. I'd imagine they mention taking over Hoema, and Bida just saying, yeah, sounds great, and going back to sleep. But over time, it's clear as the two realize the other is actually serious, rifts begin to form as neither of them want to be in this position. To Sigui, Bida is unmotivated and careless. To Bida, Sigui needs to shut the fuck up. What the big development happens, however, is Ezeoha's death, which is Geralt. Doing some rearranging of the story, Ikenga, Kronya's killing of Ezeoha, and the timeskips are much further apart. Yes, Ikenga survives post-timeskip, and upon witnessing this, Sigui begins to feel. As a result of Bida being their vessel, Bida's dormant emotions are beginning to course through her. She feels empathy, something she never knew before. Naturally, she's upset at Bida. Why is she upset? Why can't Bida get over it? Why do they feel so bad about some human dying? Have humans always felt this way? If so, then what has she been doing all this? This is just better Three Houses. Like, forget the culture swap, this is just a better version of the story. Sigui doesn't talk much in the following chapters, reflecting on her multi-thousand-year life from a new, human perspective, while Bida mourns their father. There's the death of Ezeoha. Big changes, Kronya and Solon. Who's Solon? I don't remember who Solon is. Who is Solon in this? Oh no, he's the warlock dude that like sacrifices Kronya. I remember. As signified in my earlier sections featuring Bida and Sigui, this section is being overhauled to hell and back. This is going to be the first time Bida actually loses their cool and gets to have a satisfying emotional moment. One thing I really dislike in the original story is that Solon just straight up kills Kronya to do the whole Zaras thing. No, screw that. Instead, Zuamaru and Ikenga both know the spell, and their encounter is pushed back to where the 5-year timeskip is about to occur. While Asase is busy fighting off altered beasts, Zuamaru and Ikenga tried to capture her with Odinala, to seal her in a cruel twist on how she sealed Sigui to protect her. However, this is where Bida steps into the picture. Asase is temporarily blinded and defeated and deafened by the creatures damaging her head, so Bida charges in to body block the effects of the seemingly unknown spell, and then it happens. Ending up in Odinala, Bida and Sigui have a conversation, one that begins off what they had when Ezeoha died. The fusion scene is mainly untouched except for the dialogue, as this is now two people who once hated each other, coming to a deep understanding of one another. This is also where Sigui's character arc reaches its climax as she understanding how horribly she treated others, resigns her spirit to Bida and allows them to merge. Somaru and Ikenga are naturally upset that their big spell was used up on Bida, but to their shock, the sky before them starts to shatter, like glass. A hand bursts out and grabs Somaru by the throat, threatening to crush it. And all Somaru can see is a set of angry, glowing eyes looking at him. Instead of Ikenga being killed to complete Odinala, she uses this opportunity to fully trap both Bida and Somaru, abandoning her ally and deserting the scene. In Odonala, after crushing Somaru's neck in a vice grip, they escape. Except it's not as quick as it seems. By the time Bida leaves Odonala clutching Somaru's now dried corpse, 5 years has passed. These changes were mainly made to A. Give Bida a better foil personal villain to fight, Grania to Solon. Make the ones... I know what this is. The ones who slither in the dark. Something like that. It's the bad guys. More competent. Seriously, Solon being killed by one of his teammates to use a spell which instantly gets countered. And C. Give the player something to look forward to. I'm unsure of the specifics, but Bida would get to 1v1 Akenga again at some point, and with her new powers, she's painfully weak. At one point, she even succeeds in using Odonala again, but Bida, having effectively spent 5 years figuring out how to break out of it, just smashes through again. But this is on purpose. Akenga is at the end of the day a coward, and the player is meant to feel powerful finally getting to avenge Ezioha, and beats the ever-loving shit out of Akenga, watching her tremble in fear as she has nowhere to run and her strongest attacks do nothing. But at the end, I feel it also helps complement the arcs of the lords who also get to witness this extremely vulnerable moment from Bida for the first time. That's so cool! God, I love that her body looks like it's made of stars. That's just badass. Big changes. Crimson Flower. You fight the ones who slither in the dark. I don't know why you don't already, but you fight them. I am willing to sacrifice the Silver Snow route for this. It's basically a worse Verdant Rend. Most of these changes revolve around the ones who slither in the dark, and its relationship with Quyanna. So starting with them, the Alkabulans are similar to the Dark Cult archetype, but go through with conquering and converting territories to make themselves the subject of worship through religion. Quyanna, despite her strength and personality, is mostly a puppet due to the fear instilled by her hiding and waiting as Quyanna takes abuse from the Alkabulans in stride. Bida helps her overcome her sense of inferiority, which is what causes her to turn against the Alkabulans during the endgame, resolving to rid Ohima of Alkabulans, Veves, and the borders so everyone may start over on an equal footing. Akenga's fight is used as a big turning point as Quyanna, who has been conditioned to believe the Alkabulans are on top, watches Bida violate every societal rules, social hierarchy, and supposed laws of nature to beat the shit out of Akenga, showing that it is not wrong to stand up for oneself. Whoa! Oh, look at this! Oh, the statue! Oh, that's so cool! Big change is other routes. As stated before, I don't have as much experience with non-Azure Moon Crimson Flower routes, so there will not be an individual section for those. All I have are a few notes. The exception, if Azure Moon, since aside from Zwalk using Bida's fight with Akenga to reflect on his own thirst for vengeance, Azure Moon is probably the best route writing-wise, and there wouldn't be any big changes. Most other changes would be individual character changes, which I can go into if desired, or quality of life changes. I.e., Zwalk doesn't just die off screen in Verdant Wind, and Asase is playable for 1 or 2 levels, because why not? Apologies for this section being barren. Have a Black Rain frog. Appreciated. Final bosses. Okay, so initially, I was going to end this project on this slide before this one, then I realized I forgot to talk final bosses. This will be more of an art-related topic, but I'm going to also give a big change. That being the swapping of Crimson Flower and Verdant Wind's final boss. For those who don't know, Crimson Flower ends with Edelgard and Byleth defeating Rhea, and then off-screen beating the Agarthans, while Claude and Byleth defeat Nemesis. Honestly, it feels weird looking back on it, While Edelgard did want to kill Rhea and has reason to do so, it feels weird that she's tied the most to the ones who slither in the dark and doesn't get the literal final boss of the ones who slither in the dark. I've also heard some justification of Claude killing Nemesis as, oh, he represents Fodlan's past. But the guy has been dead for 1,000 years, whereas Rhea has been alive and actively pushing isolationist policies while being complacent with the racial tension between Elmira and Fodlan. For Crimson, I'll be honest, I won't be able to give a good write-up for Verdant Wind's changed ending, but I'll try my best for Crimson Flower. This change would have things seemingly go normal as Kuyana and Baida make their final preparations to take down Abarewa, but things go astoundingly wrong. Initially, they had secretly sabotaged the Javelin of Light after defeating Akenga to later backstab the Alcabans, but Kuyana underestimated Abarewa's sheer strength. After the dust settles, a nearly dead Abarewa scolds Kuyana for her foolishness as she warns her that someone else is coming, and points at something overhead. But it's not a bird, not even a Javelin of Light, it's a person. Not just any person, but a Gwensu, who ends up beating back the army and dealing the final blow to Abarewa. The following chapters would be the darkest hour of the Crimson Flower route as the Nizami army makes one last push into the Alcaban base to fight the Alcabans and their greatest creation yet. While the Nizami army has been crafty with their little sabotage, Ariaka had thought ahead as he began to unleash the untampered Alcaban technology into Omeha. Jabari gets to come in here as well, as in spite of their previous battles, the two need to help one another now. In the penultimate chapter, the Nizami army breaks through the Alcaban invasion and descends into Iiwa, which is Jamala. This is a chapter that must be completed in a certain amount of turns, and if the heroes don't, then the Alcabans get their Javelins of Light back up and working before using them to decimate Omeha. As the battle rages, a desperate Ariaka tries to summon Ekwensu to wipe out the combined forces, but Ekwensu doesn't listen. He sees Segui's spirit with Baida, and breaking from his control, he crushes Ariaka's head in his hands and charges forward to face off against Kuyana and Bida for a final dance of death. It's all so cool. God, the accent especially. I don't know if you could even call this an axe anymore. It's more of a mining pick. Yeah! This is just happiness. Extra content! What gave the paper sparrow Corin? Here's a fun fact about Turok tea. Turok tea is traditionally boiled and served 3 times. The first is bitter, representing death. The second is strong, with a bitter aftertaste, representing life. The third is sweet and intense, representing love. Extra content part 2! Why did... the body keeps their form together, but the head's kind of like a cup holder in that case. Some Segui content. It's specific. This is how Segui's body functions, and some people mistook her flames for being eyes covering bangs. It's such a cool design. Extra content, part 3. Oh shit, it's the other lords! Oh, that's so cool! Got Meher. Suleiman. It's weird to read vertically. Leto, Ekolo, Oliver, and Agafua. You know what? The toothpaste hair does look better in dreads. I'll give you that. Drawing various lords protagonists if they were set in African nations. The following nations are Ethiopia for Marth, Morocco for Sigurd, Kilwani / Masari tribe for Lin, Kingdom of Luango for Ike, modern day Kenya for Itsuki, and the Kingdom of Benin for Alir. Extra content, part 4, because Spider Master really likes constants. Tremble before my magical might. I fear to think what dire straits you must be in to ask for my help. Extra content, part 5, who comes from where? This graphic covers where every character's inspiration came from and where they'd be located in modern day Africa. Facts: the neutral characters were taken from West Africa, were most diverse in terms of countries. With 4 characters total, the Democratic Republic of Congo and South Africa showed up the most, followed by Mali and Nigeria with 3. This is just cool. I love this. Closing remarks. I'm really glad I got to just throw a bunch of stuff out here for everyone to hopefully enjoy. I apologize if I rambled on for too long, but I really wanted to emphasize the cultural influences because at the end of the day, this is an exploration of culture. This isn't just making the characters now black, but interweaving this narrative into African culture in a way that you couldn't just get the exact same ideas by placing the story back in Europe. Exactly! The virgin race swap to the Chad culture swap. It's just so cool! You can just show people the artwork and they're sold. Because it's different, it's interesting. You see it and you just want to learn more and more and more. It's like a feast, but for like the soul. I hope I succeeded in not just making this concept sick as hell. No, you did. But in helping learn new things. Because I had to learn a lot for this concept. Stay safe and learn as much as you can. And some bibliography. Not gonna go over this because you can check it out if you want. Few more things. What was your favorite redesign? Which redesign did you feel was the most clever, translated best? Also, what's something neat you learned from this presentation? There's not going to be a test. I was just curious as to the various opinions on this little project of mine. I want to give like a proper response to that. Let's see. Of all the redesigns, the Sothis is phenomenal. Like, I can tell it's your favorite design, but there's so much thought putting into this Ifrit style design. I also love the fact that you're still able to have fun with it. Edelgard's is incredible. I love the little, like, insectoid feelers coming out of her helmet, her headdress. Statues are great as well. Was not expecting that, but that's amazing. Where's the list of characters? God, it might be Edelgard's. That's just so good. Reyes was also amazing too. Here's the list. Oh, Gatekeeper. No, it's Gatekeeper. I fucking love the Gatekeeper. I just want to be this dude's friend, man. Oh, the Raptors too. That's such a 10 out of 10 design choice. Yeah, this has been one of my favorite things I've ever seen in Peasant's perspective. Like, It's not going to be the next roundtable, but probably the one after that is going to be challenging, like, my audience at large to try to do something like this. Just try to make a Fire Emblem game in a different setting. See what you come up with. It's so good. It's so good. Right. Well fucking done, Tort. Brilliant concept. Alrighty. Next up. Oh wait, hold on. I'm actually going to remember to share the link this time. Alright, we got one submission from a member, so we will get to them next. Yugoslavia becomes lost to me. Alrighty. So this one's Akonu, I will take you up on your design document again, just complaining about Ganondorf. I might skim a little bit, but we will still... God, Ganondorf's theme in Twilight Princess is so good. Alright. Why Ganondorf is the worst designed character in Smash? Stand by the requisites in design. We talked about Ultimate Link, so we'll reiterate them here. Convey the personality, translate their fighting style. They should embody their game's mechanics, and the character should reference their tools, abilities, powers, etc. Every character has some requisite that's more important to others, so you should prioritize those important things when attempting to make a good design. But now, there's actually a fifth requisite, which is called evolution. Evolution, in my eyes, can be summarized like this. When a character has a new game that influences the series or character, and alters aspect of the previous four, then the Smash character should be changed to more align with the status quo. Otherwise, they're outdated. An example of needs to be important to games of this series that doesn't apply, it could be Link in Smash 4. You could have changed Link to be the Skyward Sword version, but as we all know, Skyward Sword wasn't that great. The decision to stick with Twilight Princess Link is justified. An example of someone who fails at evolution would be Samus, because, duh. She's just gotten worse with every single game that's come out. And a character who might fail at evolution in the future would be Cloud. When Ultimate was released, Rebirth was not out yet, so Cloud not being as accurate to Remake is completely fine. But in the next Smash game, Cloud should get some, arguably a lot, of changes in the next Smash to better match with Remake, as that game is very important to his recognition now. If he doesn't, then he's be outdated. Arguably not to the same extent as Samus, but still a notable amount of outdatedness. And this requisite doesn't apply to what I'd call Smash original characters. You know, Falcon Fox, maybe Marth. Keeping them as they are rather than updating them is arguably more important, as their Smash legacy is greater than their legacy in their own games. That list of Smash original characters is quite small, though. Now, how much of a Smash fighter needs to change to match the evolution of their home series is once again needed to be done on a case-by-case basis. After all, context of their home series is important, so trying to come up with a universal judgment is difficult to say the least. Obviously, this whole requisite format can easily break to personal interpretation of characters. That would mean you lose that objectivity when trying to sort of rank that character, or any design analysis for that matter. But I find that rating characters in this sort of way at least helps remove biases. Keeps these requisites in mind as we dive into Ganondorf's identity. You know, I'm with you on this. I know people harp on the whole objectivity versus subjectivity debates, and I do agree that people that really heavily value objectivity are annoying, but I think that your argument is equally annoying for subjectivity. I think you gotta at least have principles when you're judging things. Like, you're never gonna have an objective argument, like, universally, but you have objectivity from what you value. And I value that tremendously. Alright, we all know that Ganondorf's identity is themed around power. You know what's funny? I said I was going to remember the link, and then I forgot to share it after saying I was going to remember it. Let's fix that. Summing it up as he represents power isn't enough. I know there are some out there that do just stop at that, and I really need to break that mentality down in order to prove my point. Now, in order to explain what I mean by that, I'm going to test you with a thought experiment. That might seem out of left field, but hear me out and let me cook. I am thinking of an insanely fast character in Smash Ultimate. This character is so fast, they're just so fast. They're probably one of the fastest characters in the game. Now try to guess which character I'm thinking of. Your answer is probably Sonic, Mythra, maybe Captain Falcon. If one of those characters were your answer, you're wrong, you buffoon. I was thinking of Yoshi, who has the highest airspeed of the Smash roster. Yeah, it's not Jigglypuff, weird. Or maybe I was thinking of Zero Suit Samus, who has the highest average speed of both the ground and in the air in the game, as well as an invincible flip jump that improves her mobility tenfold. As you can see, there are multiple ways to express embodied speed, mobility, and the like. And it's because of that, there are correct ways and incorrect ways to express speed. Imagine Sonic having Yoshi stats and saying, well, he does feel correct because he's fast. That's obviously not true. Though yes, he would be the fastest on a technicality, the way he does it is completely wrong. God, also the Hyrule Castle theme in Breath of the Wild. God, when Breath of the Wild has music, it's so good. The whole speed thought experiment can be applied to power in the same way. I found there tends to be 5 different ways that fiction portrays powers. Physical strength, for example, Hulk. Combat skill, example being Count Dooku. Magical prowess, easy examples like Voldemort's or like any necromancer. Durability, endurance. Examples being Unicron, who is so giant there's almost no way of damaging him. They never die. And dominion, having a large army or a grip over the world, which follows your every command. Perfect example being Emperor Palpatine. Now, some powerful characters have overlap with one of these 5 categories. Sauron has all 5, which is why he's such an imposing figure. Palpatine has a deep connection with the Force, which obviously slots into the magic prowess category, as well as the one we already talked about in Dominion. There are a few characters that truly embody all 5, but one character that comes to mind is Thanos. Now, some powerful characters have overlap with one of those 5 categories. No, sorry, I just read that. I think I made it apparent that fiction has a variation when a character is embodying power. And when translating that, one of these characters between media, they are correct and incorrect ways to express embody power. This is very important to mention all this power talk, because now I will be taking as much of an objective look on how power is embodied in Zelda through Ganondorf's appearances. Because how it's embodied in Zelda should be how Ganondorf is treated in Smash. So how does Zelda showcase power? Ganondorf is in fact one of the few characters that has been shown to express his power through every single one of the previous categories. Albeit through different incarnations, timeline appearances. Physical strength is what Smash solely does. It doesn't show as much in Wind Waker and Tears of the Kingdom, Ocarina of Time, lifts the rebel from his tower, but also might be from his magic making him float. Really, the sole instance of pure physical might is Twilight Princess, when he does show a decent feat of physical strength, snapping off an iron shackle through sheer power. He's also the same guy who can't win a sword lock against Link. You know what? That's an excellent point. I never thought about it like that. Combat skill. This one is, again, surprisingly sparse. I will say Wind Waker Ganondorf convinces me that he is proficient in combat due to his dual wielding and being strangely acrobatic for his large stature. But the real showcase is Tears of the Kingdom, using multiple weapons and can even Flurry Rush. Magical prowess. This one is obvious. This is the one he's always using. Durability is one of the most common and iconic showcases of Ganondorf's expression of power. In Ocarina of Time, an entire castle falls on him. In Wind Waker, he's burned alive in his Forsaken Fortress. And in the end game, Ganondorf is able to utter his final words, all while the Master Sword is plunged into his skull all the way to the hilt. Twilight Princess, he straight up resurrects himself from the dead. The man dies while standing up. And in Tears of the Kingdom, he's able to withstand the might of 7 combatants, all of whom have their own secret stones, and yet appears to not even be breaking a sweat. Okay, you're selling me on what you're trying to push here. And Ganondorf's Dominion needs no examples. It's literally everywhere. Alright, so Smash Ganondorf. Physical strength? Obviously, he has that down. Combat skill? Literally nothing. His attacks don't come across as poised or skillful. His sword attacks in particular, despite being the newest edition, doesn't feel like he's skilled with the blade. They might as well be a club. Magical prowess? Literally nothing. I don't consider throwing on some vague purple magic into his physical attacks as being magical. Durability? Literally nothing. In fact, in Smash, Ganondorf is the exact opposite. He has the worst effective recovery in the game. Yes, even worse than Little Mac. Little Mac players have shown they can be quite elusive off stage, going as far as exploiting what I'm assuming is a bug to make their recovery greater. By using down or right before up B, their horizontal movement is increased by Really? I did not know that. Ganondorf, on the other hand, dies earlier than any other character in the game due to his size, weight, bad frame data, lack of mix-ups, and horrible recovery distance. And Dominion, literally nothing. He has no semblance of stage control abilities at all. Now, does Smash Ganondorf need to have everything that canonical Ganondorf has ever shown to him? Well, no. Him spawning several bosses, armies of monsters, and cursing the stage would be a bit much. But I think I just proved that he doesn't embody power, at least not correctly. Which, as far as I'm concerned, if he's not doing correctly, he's not doing it at all. The other reasons, I'm pretty sure you know the rest. Now I've decimated the false notion that Smash Ganondorf actually embodies power. I can talk about the other things that make or break a Smash fighter. Gameplay and references. There's been like 20 years of discussion of this. I'm gonna go through it rather snappy. His gameplay isn't accurate to Ganondorf whatsoever. It's not even mentioning he doesn't embody the other aspects like craftiness or scheming. But also people say his damage output isn't insane unless he feels powerful. But I'm to offer a counterpoint, at least in competitive play, that's not the case at all. Individually, his moves are more powerful, sure. But his actual damage per match is abysmal. Not because he gets run over all the time, because he never gets a chance to do damage. His damage per match is less than average because his combos are nearly non-existent. This is the case more than the competitive community has optimized their characters. But it's still a fact that a solid chunk of the cast deals 50% to 70% in a single combo, and did not take long after to close out the stock. Meanwhile, Ganondorf struggles to even win neutral once, and once he does, that's it. He gets a hit, he can do nothing else. 80% of the time, it doesn't lead to any more damage because of his high knockback on the majority of his moves. Oh, is this the Naboris? Oh, hell yeah! Oh yeah, and references. Smash Ganondorf has literally 2. Just 2. Flame Choke referenced Twilight Princess and a sword that was only used in a non-canon tech demo. Given to the one appearance to Ganondorf that is famously known for not using a sword. Are you kidding me? I mean, let's be fair. He also does a Spartan kick in Twilight Princess. You know, famous, fan-loved move, the kick in Twilight Princess. That one, it's everybody's favorite. Even ignoring that, the fact remains that Ganondorf is missing so many references they could have. Dead Man's Volley, not having it, is actually a crime. Alright, tier list placements. So Ganondorf doesn't fulfill his identity and the other aspects of his character. He exists as a sole embodiment that is not important to his character. His gameplay is actively against his character. His entire kit is lacking references aside from a minor one and a retcon from a tech demo. And there are no positives to be said. Wow, that's really bad. I think without a doubt that Ganondorf, the King of Thieves, the Emperor of Darkness, the Menace Unleashed is bottom 1 in terms of design. I struggle to find any redeeming qualities of Smash Ganondorf. I don't agree with that fully, but I will say, like, if I was to go back and, if me and Pierre would go back and redo, like, the design tier list, you would convince me to drop Ganondorf significantly. I think he's in D tier right now for us. This would put him in E or F. So you've succeeded at that. I'll give you that. So how do you follow through? How are you going to fix him? So how Smash redesigns. I'm expanding around to a realized submission for a Smash reboot. I made Smash 6. Now it's time to make moves. Ooh, we got a follow-up to a roundtable. That's interesting. Ganondorf needs no introduction. So I mentioned that sometimes in the coming years, even casual moviegoers will hear the name that we all come to recognize, hype at, and most of all dread. Despite his iconic status, his adoration in Smash is terrible. Context: Smash 6. The redesigned moveset for Ganondorf is not based on a pre-existing Smash game. This is my take on Ganondorf as if you're part of my vision for a Smash reboot. Smash 6. So, additional context is needed. This is going to be based solely on his Tears of the Kingdom incarnation. I think that's wise. I think his Tears of the Kingdom incarnation is a very nice encapsulation of so many things he's been before. Shields are different. They don't shrink, they just crack, which is better. Player shield getting broken instead of becoming stunned. Oh yeah, I remember this. It's the concussion thing. Makes shield breaks more interesting. Just reduces the movement stats and prevents them from shielding again. It's kind of more of a, oh gosh, what's it called in Street Fighter 6? When you use all the drive gauge. Burnout? I think it's burnout. Brittle status element makes the afflicted more prone to shield damage. So you can just break them easier, which is apparently one of Ganondorf's core mechanics. Super moves. Smash 6 has the classic fighting game system. Level 1, Level 2, Level 3s. You have a bar, it's cool, it should be in the game, it's the better version of the Smash Mirror. Super Specials are also here. They're advanced versions of these special moves. Essentially another set of special moves for each character, with differences being Super Specials are usually better, but they cost super meter. How much is consumed is dependent on the level of the special. Everybody knows who Ganondorf is, but there are some things worth discussion. In Tears of the Kingdom, Ganondorf is incredibly distinct to his other outings. In the past, his appearance has varied a bit from game to game, but generally he's been a blend of a sword-wielding warlord and a warlock using vague, evil magic without much of a theme. In Tears of the Kingdom, it's all based around gloom, which he makes regular use of. Whether it be engulfing the world in gloom, summoning minions, and manifesting weapons to his hands. His fighting style is also very different, or in other words, he actually has a fighting style. His inspirations from samurai are obvious, but his fighting style also... Hey, you know what? Another great example of a culture swap. It's not as crazy as Tort's, but that was another cool instance. Cool example from the Breath of the Wild's world. Leaning more heavily into, like, Japanese culture. It was neat. Ganondorf is a weapon master. Killing multiple weapons, bow, can swap freely between them, and even flurry rush. Overview. Focus primarily on embodying power through how it's shown in Tears of the Kingdom. Thus, his moveset has many ways of dominating the battle and making the opposition feel helpless. He can accomplish this through a variety of means, whether it be through skillful melee combat, controlling the stage through a unique mechanic, and countering zoners through a variety of burst movement tools, as well as a very unique counter. I also want him to embody his mirroring of Link, because I think that's just something extra that can easily be done with no repercussions, and frankly, it would just be cool. I'm gonna do you one better. I think all three of the Triforce users should mirror each other in some way. I'd have to think about that a lot longer to tell you in what way, but I think there should be some sort of through line connecting all three. This dude can kill. He has poor combo potential. He is slow. He is incredibly slow. And he is heavy. Makes up for that by being an anti-zoner, though. You have to come to him. Multiple weapons! He uses all of them. This is directly mirroring the various weapons Link can attain in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. His non-attacking animations will have not holding any weapon, only summoning them with gloom magic for when he does decide to attack. I have thought of a way to improve readability, since this would obviously be a bit of a problem in this scenario. On the first frame of every attack that uses a weapon, the weapon will spawn in a blank bright red before swiftly switching to the actual model. This way, the bright color would draw the attention of the eyes, and given that each weapon has a very distinct silhouette, that should be enough of an indication of what attack is going to be coming out. Slash effects. Ganondorf has unique slash effects. They're similar to Byleth's hero relics, based on the gloom aesthetic. Shoutouts to BCOX for the idea. Gloom is a stage control mechanic, as some of Ganondorf's attacks will cause it to spread. This is how we're doing area denial here. Gloom's going to work a little differently here. I think it's more appropriate to hone in on the emotional panic of holy crap, I need to get my feet out of the gloom, instead of trying to translate how it works one-to-one. In order to accomplish this, when stepping on gloom, opponents are inflicted with poison and brittle for as long as they remain on the gloom. Any gloom that is casted will last for roughly 10 seconds before dissipating. I like this. It is not like oppressive enough to be particularly annoying, but it is threatening. You'll either have to have the wisdom to work around the gloom or the courage to stand your ground and overcome his power head on. Jab combo. Mirrors Link, slashes 3 times. Works nicely. Dash attack, heavy smash. Summons a gloom club and swing it down, similar to shown here. Gloom will also leak out of the club, spreading on the ground. If it hits an opponent's shield with this move, he might be able to capitalize on the fact that you're now standing amidst gloom, with Ganondorf breathing down their neck. As the opponent, you better act fast. Ganondorf might follow up with a strong move that could shatter your shield in an instant. Forward tilt, Sharp Needle, stabs in front of him with his gloom speed. This is a very reliable neutral tool and is pretty safe on shield, if even moderately spaced. Up tilt is quick draw. Gripping his sword from his hip, he slashes his sword upwards diagonally, much like how one draws a sword from their hip. Down tilt is low kick. He kicks. It's a kick. Can start tech chases, but not traditionally able to follow up. Smash attacks. All smash attacks cause gloom to leak out of the weapons. Forward smash keeps his old one, but swings the gloom club instead. Changes up if it's at ledge by getting the Byleth down special treatment, following through it to hit beneath the ledge. I like that. Up smash, Heaven Piercer. Ganondorf stabs the ground with the blunt of the spear, causing the gloom magic to burst from the ground. Yeah! Love that! Smash Brothers needs more, like, shockwave kinds of attacks. Initial burst has a hitbox that drags opponents in towards the planted spear. Cool. Can also coat platforms with gloom while he's beneath them. That's really cool. Down smash is Kingdom Cleaver. Performs a spin attack. Cool, I like that. I've seen chat. Ganondorf shouldn't be a thinking character, in my opinion, at least not to the same degree as Zelda. To the degree of Zelda, I would agree. But I do think There's power in intelligence. I think he should have some of that. Grab, Ascended Chokehold. Raise his opponents in the air with a single hand around their neck. Referenced several times in the Zelda series, including in Smash 4 now with a side special. Doesn't deflect opponents with Gloom because he's physically lifting them off the ground. Pummel Gloom Grip, summoning his Gloom to spread out from his hand to further damage the opponent for good measure. Forward Throw, Spiked Smack. Makes the opponent float in the air, then takes his Gloom Club and performs a swinging strike. Cool. Back Throw, throws opponent behind him with an overhead throw into a slam to the ground. Very cool. Follows up by slamming the slam by summoning his spear in his offhand and unleashes a brutal stab. Like it. Up throw, Wicked Slice. Uses Gloom Magic to force the opponent to ascend in the air slightly, and slashes the opponent with his sword. And down throw is Dismissal. Simply lets go of his opponents from his ascended grip. Functions similarly to Snake's down throw, but with some additional end lag for Ganondorf. Intentionally bad, because you should be trying to get the alternate version of down throw. If there is Gloom underneath the opponent when Ganondorf uses down throw, Gloom... Oh, this is cool. Gloom hands will appear from the Gloom when Ganondorf when Ganondorf drops the opponent. Goodness gracious. Causing them to be in the bury state. This opens a way of performing consistent combos instead of needing to read your opponent's defensive options. Given that there needs to be Gloom on the ground, the opponent will also be inflicted with poison and brittle while buried since they are on the ground. Aerial attacks, Rotating Steel. Nair is inspired by Baikon's air special attack in Guilty Gear Strive. Pretty close to Sephiroth's up air as well, but a little more all-encompassing. Just doesn't get directly below him. Forward air, Skull Smasher. Similar to Ike's forward air using the club. Kill power is busted, at the cost of being naturally incredibly high startup. Back air will steal. Ganondorf will steal. Borrow Byleth's back air for his own. Slower, but carries immense kill power. Up air is Upward Cleave. Similar to his up tilt, but he slashes straight up instead of diagonally. Looks like Claren's up air from Rival Z. Okay, cool. Down air is Dissension. A villainous and mirrored version of Link's down air. Unique Stall Fall. Ganondorf grips his sword and stabs downward, but then he starts to ascend straight down with intense speed for a relatively short distance. Please grab. Yes, they grab as he's dragging them down! I think that was in my video too. It's just what he should be. It's such a perfect thing for Ganondorf to do. Just have that kind of tool. Just, okay, I'm gonna lose this, but I'm gonna take you with me. Keeps a semblance of his old Ganon side because that's fun. You can mash to get out. Not going to instantly kill Ganondorf if he's off stage, but we'll put him in a horrible position. If Ganondorf does grab an opponent, and before the opponent mashes out, he's able to jump cancel out of the attack. Naturally, the opponent stops following as they're no longer impaled by Ganondorf's sword. But they get softly knocked out of the attack in a rather unfavorable position of slightly away and downwards. The opponent can act slightly before Ganondorf in this scenario, but Ganondorf is still in an advantageous position overall. Love that! Special moves, Demon King's Bow. Fires an arrow of gloom. I did not know this. I've never done this before. You can reflect those? That's awesome. You can probably see where this is going. In Smash 6, Ganondorf has the iconic Dead Man's Volley masquerading as a gloom arrow. Ganondorf's opponent can reflect the gloom with any attack. When an opponent hits the arrow changes form into an orb made of gloom similar to this picture. Ganondorf can also interact with the reflected arrow by attacking it, but it's not that simple. Depending on which weapon Ganondorf uses to reflect the gloom, different effects occur. The sword redirects it, keeping the energy tennis going. The spear causes the orb to explode at the tip of the spear, making it an even more deadly attack that demands respect for its bigger, stronger tip or sweet spot. The club causes the orb to shatter apart into a dozen pieces, and they all fly in a spread pattern, like a shotgun. That's so good, though! Oh, that's a great way of making him a little more cerebral, while still just making it full-on aggression. So reasons I wanted this. First, it's just cool. Second, I wanted Ganondorf being a weapon master to mean something more than just wielding multiple weapons. I think this accomplishes that tremendously. To the third reason, because on the top of the 3 interactions, there's a 4th interaction that Ganondorf has with all projectiles in the down special. Forgot the link to the actual... I mean, the link to the actual document is in the document I initially shared. That counts, right? Side special, Spear Dash. Standard burst option. Travels about as far as the old Flame Choke. Does put him into Special Fall. But if he does hit an opponent, he won't be put into Special Fall and can use Side Special again, like Ike's Side Special. Alright. Simple and effective. Up Special, Dark Teleport. Taking inspirations from Phantom Ganon in that way. Doesn't have a hitbox, but the travel distance is pretty good. There is one quirk. If Ganondorf teleports to Gloom, there is virtually no end lag. That's cool. Oh, I love that. Just being able to pop out of nowhere if you've got set up previously. That's really good. Down special, Villain's Parry. Spoilers for my eventual Link rework for Smash 6. He will have a shield parry for his down special called the Hero's Parry. So naturally, Ganondorf will have his own parry, called the Villain's Parry. This is a key move to the Enter-Zoner aspect of his playstyle. Ganondorf will hold out his hand with the intent of intercepting an attack. If it's a melee attack, Ganondorf will effortlessly smack away futile attack with a single hand. That's a great way of just making him appear ridiculously strong. Like, doesn't matter what's coming his way, he can just bash it away with a single hand. That's really cool. However, if he intercepts a projectile, he clutches it in his hand and uses his magic to mutate the projectile until it morphs into Gloom energy. Ganondorf transfers this newly acquired energy directly into his melee weapons. His next attack will have the same effect as when he reflects his Gloom orbs in his neutral special. So Orb for Sword, Explosion for Spear, Shotgun Blast for Club. This enhances Ganondorf's neutral play by an absurd degree, but it's very temporary. Only has one use, hit or whiff. Think of a one-time Levin Sword or something like that, so you better make good use of it. That's very cool. Can increase the damage of his enchanted weapons by absorbing more powerful projectiles, and can even stack it, similar to Incineroar's Revenge. That's crazy, and I love it! A forward smash that it's enchanted with 3 absorptions of strong projectiles. That's going to deal upwards of roughly 90% in a single blow and will kill lighter opponents at 0%. And you can't even really call it that insane, because you just don't use projectiles against him. It's like a Game & Watch bucket. The opponent has to enable Ganondorf to be able to do this for it to be an overpowered tool in his arsenal. He will lose the enchantment if he takes too much damage, and damaging Ganondorf is certainly not a hard task for some characters. He is still a heavyweight. And by the way, this enchanting of his weapons gives Ganondorf a mirrored version of Link's fuse ability, which is neat. Super Specials! Volley of Death. Shoots 3 bow arrows instead of 1. Longer he charges the bow, the distance of the arrow is increased. They will burst to spread gloom on the stage if they hit the stage. Super side special, Impaling Dash. Travels further, and is now a command grab. Yes, and he impales them and punches the opponent off the spear with his free hand. Had that on the trident too. It's just a... I love the mental image of that. Like, he gets you stuck on his weapon and he has to physically dislodge you. Because he's just that strong. Special is Ominous Drift. Gives him a float. Steals the function of the jump glide, can drift horizontally with impressive speed. Will be put into Special Fall once the animation expires, but he can cancel this move into an aerial attack, which then will go into Special Fall. Love it. Down special is Gloom Eruption. Can only be used while on the ground. Plunges his club into the ground, causing a wave of gloom to erupt, traveling as ground projectiles. If the wave of gloom passes over gloom on the ground, then gloom hands will spawn on it. These can grab opponents and fling them towards Ganondorf. An easy way to start combos. Cool. More intense version of area denial. Alright, this is why super specials are just the superior option. They just give you more to do with characters. This gets better if Ganondorf has his weapon enchanted. The Gloom Wave is bigger and will deal more damage. Gloom Hands can reach further, and will bring opponents out for a moment before tossing them to Ganondorf, giving more time to think about how he's going to follow up. And then full-on super moves. Level 1 super, Gloom Plague. Raise them into the air and swing them both downward. When it does this, all ground, including platforms within a wide radius, will be covered in gloom. To give you an idea of how big the radius, if Ganondorf is standing in the center of the battlefield, he is just able to cover the entire stage in gloom, platforms and all. Of course, it's a super move, you can't spam this, but still very powerful. Level 2, we got a Demon King install, love it. Upon activation, Ganondorf will say, "Enjoy these final moments." Alternatively, if he's fighting Link in a... Yes, more things like this, please! Please! If he's fighting Link in a 1v1, he will instead say, "I'll be taking more than your arm this time." When he's in this form, the sky in the background will be tinted red, and the music will change to the theme that plays during the second phase of his boss fights, for as long as his Demon King form is present. In addition, voice lines in this form change to have Ganondorf laughing while attacking, taking satisfaction in his sheer power. As far as gameplay side of things, Ganondorf unleashes this attack as he transforms into Demon King. Do note the stack starts in frame 1 and is invincible throughout the entire duration of the attack. Little knockback, but more of a get-off-me tool than a kill move. On another note, Ganondorf is able to activate his level 2 super regardless of if he's in hit stun. This combined with the invincibility, it makes Ganondorf able to escape combos and hit them away in turn. This works incredibly well, showcasing his durability, breaking out of any combo effortlessly. Love that! Just having that kind of... I'm picturing, like, a kind of grand finals Evo situation, where it's like last stock moments, you've got a super rushdown character comboing him out, and you just have that oh shit moment as Ganondorf activates this, and the music just starts blaring over the crowd. That'd be so cool. Alright. Gloom lasts twice as long. Damage boost on all attacks. Has passive armor against all projectiles, and damage is reduced while he's standing on Gloom. This install lasts 45 seconds. That's nuts. But alright. Alright. Level 3 super, like, duh. Come on. Incredible power, but a tremendous cost. Level 3 super functions similar to his final smash from Ultimate. Upon activation, he screams, "I will rule this land." Alternatively, if he's fighting Link in a 1v1, he'll instead scream, "You will not stop me." Then he consumes his secret stone, turning into the demon dragon. Rushes forward, jaws open, grabs anyone caught in his way by trapping them in its jaw. He can grab up to 3 opponents. Until it reaches the side blasts them and keeps going. It kills itself, dragging its caught opponents along with it. Regardless of percentage, everyone perishes. There is no hope for escape. Love this. Final ditch efforts. So many of Ganondorf's final attempts, final grasps at power, are heavily self-sacrificial. They're done out of spite. I think this is really good. Think it's a bit too overpowered for level 2? I disagree. You gotta keep in mind that every other character is also getting super moves in turn. Like, this seems super crazy because it's the only character you have context for in this super move functionality. Will say it might have to change based off of... Did the music stop? Yes, keeps going. Would be interesting to see... like, maybe you cover this in the Akonu, I just don't remember it. But how the super meter interacts with how many stocks the character is given. That might change how strong or weak this is. Imagine if Mario got an invincibility star after his KO'd. I don't think that's comparable. This is just armor to projectiles. You can still combo Ganondorf just as easily. He's just scary now. Extra side taunts. One of the best moments Ganondorf has ever had. Which is honestly a low bar, but loved this moment. Up taunt, maniacal laugh, as he should. Down taunt, show of power. Is that all? I've barely gotten started. Entrance animation is his revival. Boxing ring title, the Demon King. All of Ganondorf's victory screens have the giant blood moon behind him. Victory theme is a rendition of his theme. Victory 1. He's back quickly turned towards the camera, overturning only halfway so. You were hardly worth the time. Plays as a voice line. Beats either Link or Zelda, he will say, "Now Hyrule will be mine." Victory screen 2. Look towards the camera with disdain. Gloom hands appear behind Ganondorf, rush towards the camera as they grab onto it. The screen fades to black with a... Love that! We need more like this. You know what, Gubsy, that's fair. Best moment by far is his Suavemente dance. That's fair. That's very fair. Victory Screen 3 is based on his Ocarina of Time appearance. Costumes! Default is Tears of the Kingdom. Costume 2 is based off of Koga for the color scheme. 3 is based off of Astor's color scheme. 4 is Colgera's. 5 is Queen Gibdo's. 6 is Marbled Goma's. 7 is Muktarok's. And 8 is the Seized Construct. Sticking to the theme. Very solid. Outro. I love the Zelda series, and Ganondorf is definitely a contributor behind that love. That's why I just can't stand his Smash appearance. I know I'm not alone in that. Smash Ganondorf has had fans begging for a rework for at least a decade. I don't think I have or will ever be able to fully satisfy that hunger, but hopefully the fans got some enjoyment out of this reworked Ganondorf. As always, I'm open to hear feedback of any sort, whether it be constructive criticism or positive reinforcement. I hope you have a good day, and I bid you farewell. Me when I see Ganondorf in official Smash. Me when I see a fan-made Ganondorf moveset. Lovely. No, I think this is great. Ganondorf's a character you can do a lot of different things depending on what you want to focus on with the design. If you want to go full-on Warlock, if you want to focus on an individual weapon, maybe you want to do Wind Waker dual wielding, maybe you want to go for the Trident. I think you made a very solid case for the design direction behind this, with exploring the various elements of power, looking at how Ganondorf has showcased that through his series and how you'd want that reflected in Smash. And I think you did a very good job at translating that into a Smash moveset. Like, I would love this to play as this Ganondorf. Part of me still really wishes he had the Trident, but I think for what this moveset is trying to do, as a Tears of the Kingdom specific moveset, I think it's fantastic for that. I don't know what else I would change or add to this moveset. I think you just got everything. Gloom is cool. Love the different weapons. Love the interaction between the Dead Man's Volley and the various weapons that can hit stuff with it. That's just really cool. Yeah, I think this is a great Ganondorf. Well done. Wow, an Akonu moveset was really fantastic. Who could have seen that coming? Alright. Next up... I think this one will be a bit shorter. I don't know how in-depth this is going to be, but I think it's a fascinating thought experiment, so we're going to explore that. From BB. What if Smash Brothers always had third-party characters in the first? What would happen to the roster if that was a thing? Staying realistic at the time, roster limit clones and ease of addition that characters had to follow in this timeline. What if Smash 64 was significantly more Fortnite in the beginning? Alright, so let's explore this thought experiment. Smash 64. The roster posited is Mario, Luigi, Donkey Kong, Link, Samus, Captain Falcon, X, Pikachu, Goemon, Kirby, Banjo, and Fulgore. Banjo replaces Yoshi as the cute animal platformer. He's the most obvious pick here. He was requested since Smash release and was a huge hit on this N64, as well as being part of the only company who was fully loyal to Nintendo at the time. Yeah, that's a no-brainer. If Smash 64 had a third-party character, it would be Banjo. That's just the way it is. Goemon replaces Fox as the quick, spacey type character. Goemon is another obvious pick, one of the staple N64 third parties. He was Konami's small contribution towards the N64, but ended up becoming one of the largest. Fulgore, replacing Ness as a cult classic character, who borrows another character skeleton, in this case probably Link or Samus. Fulgore is the second rare rep due to how close the company was with Nintendo. Due to Killer Instinct being one of the biggest SNES reps and later N64 fighting game, it was obvious to include him in this fighting game. Also, really damn cool. And X, replacing Jigglypuff as a semi-clone. Is my mic cutting out? Is my mic cutting out? Testing, 1, 2, 3. Does cut out for a quarter of a second every 5-ish minutes. That's probably the thunderstorm. My apologies. I can't do much about the weather. And X replacing Jigglypuff as a semi-clone. X would be a semi-clone of Samus. You know, in the context of Smash 64, I think that works. If it was any other game, I'd be against it, but for this initial showcase, I think we're fine. I think this is pretty solid overall. I think, given the N64, you still gotta have Fox, because Star Fox 64 was such a big thing at the time. Weird as it is to say, I'd actually, if you want to keep all 4 of the third parties, I'd replace Samus with Fox for the time period. Otherwise, pretty solid. Alright, how does this evolve? Fox Falca, I feel like due to their game keep comeback with Assault and Adventures, they come back with a moveset semi-based on those games. Also, Falca was like the best melee clone power unique-wise, so I think I have to bring him back. Jake. What? Okay. That's so funny. They have Little Mac right there. But now we're gonna grab a second Killer Instinct character. Right before their acquisition by Microsoft, so I wanted to squeeze as much as possible out of them. He punches, Falcon punches, it's a perfect fit. Oh, it's the Ganondorf clone! That's so funny! Ganon, due to the massively extended character pool, I had to cut his Link/Sheik, as a dual character wasn't exactly worth it, so we put in Ganon as the new Zelda character instead. Which, honestly, I like more, just in general. X becomes the quick little Mega Man semi-clone character. Snake was requested, it makes sense for him to be there. Same with Sonic, and then Shadow becomes easy to add, just as an afterthought. You know what, yeah, 2 games in, I'm feeling this. I think the picks are making sense. Brawl, though. What happens here? We lose the rare characters. That was the first thing I was looking for. That makes sense. Put back in the Ice Climbers as a retro rep. Zelda and Sheik come back. Zero Suit Samus is fucking dead. Pokemon trainer, since I unfortunately had to cut Lucario, I had to find another way to represent Gen 4. So we're doing a Pokemon trainer that covers all generations. Honestly, that sounds really cool. Now that I'm thinking about it, Totodile, Grovyle, Infernape. That's neat. Well, no, Diddy is still there. Diddy was always going to still be there. Gutsman.exe. Due to being a Nintendo exclusive series, I had to include a Battle Network character. I feel like Gutsman.exe is an amazing fit for that. I mean, that is interesting, I'll give you that. Don't know if Battle Network ever grew to the point that'd be that popular, but sure, we'll go with it. We'll go with it. We got Pac-Man. Yeah, that's easy. Super Monkey Ball is also a very easy inclusion. Ebisimaru. Oh, right. I remember. That's Goemon. Okay. An adventurer. That is what the yellow square is. Acting exactly like Mr. Game & Watch, the cube from Adventure World will be entirely 2D, morphing for most attacks from different retro Atari games. Okay. Smash 4. Yoshi finally comes back. DDD comes back. Eggman shows up. Bomberman fills the void that the drama of Kojima left behind. That's well thought out. Ryu and Ken arrive as well. God, I hate this, but you're right. Rabbits were a huge part of the Wii and Wii U era. Stealth elf? The fuck is a stealth elf? NFC support was a huge part of Smash, and since being able to use Skylander figurines to unlock special Mii certs would be awesome. Since Skylanders was pretty much one of the only loyal series in the Wii U era, I had to include a fighter, and stealth elf would be worked best as a rushdown. Nah. That doesn't make any sense. That would still be Spyro. Like, I understand the gameplay angle of it, but for a series like Smash, the brand recognition would win every single day. Professor Layton with accents of Dr. Mario, locking a puzzle rep. Yeah, Layton could join at a couple of points. I'm glad he's here now. Banjo makes his grand return, as Nintendo would have made a deal with Microsoft. Get 2 characters back. Heihachi joins as a second Namco character. I don't think Steve makes it. Like, based on what they described, the rights... I think I'd say this for Banjo as well. Based on what they described for how long it took for them to get the rights fully for Steve, I'd be willing to bet it's not until Ultimate that any Microsoft character is able to properly get in. I assume Activision likes Spyro. I think Activision likes money. And brand recognition tends to get the most money. Ultimates. Alright, but 2. Joins Pit. It's an easy echo. Tom Nook gets added as a villager echo. Kunio-kun and Riki for the River City games. River City was extremely important to Nintendo while it was starting out, and this was an obvious pick due to that. Along with the duo's wide range of usable material. I don't disagree, but I don't know if that's like an ultimate character, if that makes any sense. Gruntilda pops in as a villain for Banjo. Richter is now a unique character, with no influence from Simon. I mean, if you're gonna do that, do Alucard. Hanafuda card, which is funny. I wish this was a thing. Definitely get points for that. Slime joins in as a kind of a pseudo-replacement for Piranha Plant. Doomslayer pops in for Microsoft rep. Paper Mario. Yoshi's Morshi character. I can kind of see it. Just trying to think to the time. No, yeah, I can see it. I can see it. You got Shantae, Komasan Komajiro, and Crash Bandicoot to wrap it up. Sorry, I'm kind of just lost in thought. I'm trying to imagine, like, the hype cycle of these fighter passes. The Yokai Watch characters feel a bit bizarre to me, but apart from that, like, this feels just like, okay, we need something that perfectly mirrors Pyra and Mythra, and I think in this alternate timeline, that just wouldn't really be a factor. Still neat, though. Still neat. And as a bonus, I will click on this because I'm so curious how you make the freaking Atari sprite work. Quick side switch for the key from adventure, followed by downwards. Okay, so we're summoning... Oh, okay. So it summons a bit of tiny sprites based off of other Atari games. Like, we got an inchworm from Millipede here as the down tilt. We got a tank from Combat here. That's neat. I like that. Crystal spinning around for a neutral air. Strong slash with a sword for the forward. Ship from Gravitar appears behind it, shooting. Up air is a parachute. That's just Game & Watch's old up air. Down shoots a bomb. Okay. Down smash. Jumps up as a math equation in the form of A plus B from basic math and then slams downward. You can kill people with math. That's fun. That's really fun. Grab a centipede wrapping around people. That's so cute. Oh, you're really selling me on this. Shoots out a pixel projectile similar to Pong. Reflects off of surfaces. 3 can be active at a time. Disappear when they're hitting it. See, it's just busy projectiles like the Pong paddle. That's so cool. Side special places dragons from adventure. Eats opponents near them for a command grab. You're basically setting gulpins around. Different kind of dragon, spits in a different direction. A special holds onto the ship from asteroids as it slowly takes off. You can steer the ship left or right. If the ship hits a Pong battle, its momentum is increased and it regains all its fuel. Oh, that's fun. Neat little extra mechanics. And down special places that Pong battle. Paddle can reflect projectiles in the direction it is facing, including the adventure zone, and it acts as a wall for physical attacks, up until it takes 50%, in which it disappears. You can also have players run into it, bounce off at a quicker rate than a wall jump, causing them to launch faster speed than before. Hold up. Rotating the A card on elections by physical attacks, and the other rotation dictated by the power of the move. That's... Oh, that's cool. So you can actually, like, set up little... I remember a Zelda moveset that did something with this, where it would, like, place Nayru's love as, like, little points to reflect light arrows around the map. You could do so many weird things just reflecting projectiles in wacky directions with this. That's so cool. And a giant quotile is the final smash. Shooting swirls around for 8 seconds before leaving. Neat! I like that. Yeah, like I said, it's a fascinating thought experiment. It's hard to give feedback because I'd have to do like some genuine like research over like what the video game landscape was like at the time. But I think the thought process is sound here. And it was interesting to consider. Thank you for the submission, BB. Oh gosh, I am just now realizing that this screen capture did not show the entire moveset. Let me fix that real quick so people can actually see the damn things. So shrink that down. So that one was smashed forward. Was that cutting off Brawl as well? No, Brawl's screen is smaller. So I'll link her on this for a few seconds, just so people can see properly. And then head down to here. If anything, I think my only major criticism is that a lot of the characters that get in... it's not the choices of what was added, but what gets kept in a later game. Because there's a lot of characters that just don't really make sense to hold on to later. I don't know. I would need to, like... It's hard to give feedback on this specific thing, because I would need to think for, like... I need to do, like, 20 minutes of Googling. Still cool, though. Still cool. Still cool. Is the music still going? It hit right at the end of the track, so I just paused it for a second to move on to the next one. Now, this one, I have no idea what this is. It was presented as a joke game, which I... Oh, gosh. Okay. Alrighty. This is from Sprites4Ever and Lambert. They did not provide a music track, but this seems to be stealth-themed, so I've chosen... like, objectively, the most stealth musical theme you could ever find in any video game. Alright, the cat dragged in a joke game concept which we took too far. Actually, it was me, and I shouldn't be blaming the cat. Self-explanatory. No, I did not bother to draw this music, so y'all are stuck with generated slop. Some time ago, a Discord conversation between Lambert and I led to this. I told you how terrifying an assassin with the physique of a cat and the intelligence and dexterity of a human would be. Gives a whole new meaning to catsuit. You know what would be even worse? Being met with someone that is in the Vietnam War-like battlefield. Even if you have a gun, you'd be dead before you can run anywhere near close. Now I'm imagining a cat girl jumping up a tree with a sniper rifle, and when she perches on top of it, she has that tense tail wagging that cats do when they're watched. Yeah. And that sounds like the most badass video game begging to happen. Yet, badass is a word. We'll go with that as a word. Like a mix of the gameplay of Sniper Elite with the stealth and ballistics mechanics, but the speed and freedom of movement like Just Cause. Okay, when you describe it like that, okay, now I'm a little more on board. DNA manipulation experiment, subject escapes, the government sends people in mech suits after it, cat girl sniper tries getting popular support by exposing government. This is something I would feel guilty playing this, but I would still have fun. You know, like, it's a mediocre art style, but the mechanics sound amazing. Given both our insanity, we of course rolled with it. An open-world shooter combining elements of the Sniper Elite and Just Cause games, set in a fictionalized World War II Germany, where you play as a Catwoman who slipped through the cracks of government-sanctioned gene manipulation. Is this gonna be, like, legitimately, like, super serious storytelling? You're selling me on a harder. The fact that it's an AI anime... Oh... We've never... I should probably make, like, a rule for this. I do not mind AI images in Peasant's perspective showcases. Like, some people can't draw, some people don't have the money to commission an artwork. But I do, like, have something like this mentioning that it is AI. You just need something to communicate an idea. I'm fine with that. But don't go overboard on it. Considering what they actually spent money on with their Wunderwaffen, making land battleships, train cannons, and trying to summon the devil, a catgirl sniper would actually be a par for the course for them. That is actually true. It should be noted that I, Sprites, am German, and I'm trying to not completely distort or ridicule this history. This concept is obviously not serious, but I'm trying to stay classy. It is the Second World War, in a world not too dissimilar from our own. The fact that I chose this... I'm regretting the music choice, but I'm sticking to it. A fascist power called itself the Nordic Empire has declared war on all those who took issue with its annexation and violently took over the most mainland of the continent of Odyssia. With their overseas allies hesitant to join the fight, the last power holding against I'm sorry, it's the music. Against the fascists that is the Western Kingdom, an island nation and naval power which controls most of the islands around the continent. As gruesome battles rage on the ground, in the air, and on the seas, and as the Nordic Empire brutally imprisoned... God damn. Things look dark. There is destruction everywhere. But within the deepest depths of said darkness, new light arises. During an aerial raid on the outskirts of the Nordic capital, Rosenstein, a Western bomb shakes one of the Nordic's most secret underground weapons research facilities to the core. Safety systems fail, fires break out, soldiers and technicians rush to control the damage as the air raid alarm creates a horrible duet with the fire alerts. Suddenly, with a jolt like an electric shock, our protagonists' eyes open. They dart around, feverishly scanning the environment, beholding black metal tubes and wires. Oh no. Alright, Sprites4Ever. You asked for this. You're German. You're presenting this. I have no idea how to pronounce anything in German. So I apologize in advance. Mir ist kalt. Was ist passiert? Mein Name, den wish ich. Katharina Sus. Das ist mein Name. Sicher ist das mein Name. Aber was... What does that be? Aber was weiß ich noch? Da wäre ein Mann und ein Tisch. Kursen liegt. Ich habe etwas Subes getrunken. A crash. Was auch immer los ist, es ist nicht gut. Ich muss heraus. She struggles, ripping off diodes that were attached to her body, as well as the breathing mask. You know, let me find. I'll get to this. Seems to be trying to present itself a little more serious, so we'll find a more serious theme in the background. What would fit this? There we go. Metal Gear. That works. War ich schon immer so stark? Moment, mein Hand, sei es mit bedeckt? She scrambles out of the dark thing, not paying mind to her surroundings. Quickly, her eyes spot a reflective surface. Was ist das? Was haben die mit mir gemacht? I do find it fascinating. Just kind of the connections between Germanic languages. I can kind of understand what this person is saying. That's interesting. Was haben die mit mir gemacht? Ich sehe, als we in Katz, die just weil ich es weiter. Die Soldaten des Führers, die wurden mich, die haben mich aus Minan hasgulzert und fucking hell geschlagen, dann haben sie mich hergebracht. Dieser Mann Friedrichs hat sagt, ich sei etwas Besonderes und dass ich nun deinen Wort und dann. A male voice comes across the room. Was ist das? Die Chimera is... Chimera! Oh, it's Chimera! Ist ausgebrochen? Her eyes immediately focus on the man. Oh, we're almost done. Dressed in a black uniform and holding an assault rifle. Her ears towards him, and hear more boots on the floor approaching him from behind. She thinks one word. Tolton. This is probably going to be the most divisive Peasant's perspective. It's only divisive if people can't handle marginally more serious subjects, and that's a them problem. It's not my problem. Gameplay. Dieselpunk mech suit enemies would have very specific weak spots, but can still be a threat if damaged. So you need to consider what parts you aim for before they hear your gunshot. Could also be they do when they send in a bigger, heavier mech. You get an experimental railgun anti-material rifle that hits like a train. You could tear parts off or steal them when they don't notice you. You need to select different types of ammunition, set up traps, and manipulate them. I like color-coding things. So for example, metal armors and enemies would have markings of the same shade of green as acidic darks from your railgun, or fuel would be the same red as incendiary bullets. The fictionalized Germany would be the Nordic Empire, and the fictionalized UK would be the Western Kingdom. It'd take place mostly in the former, but you get help from the kingdom. You would go the Just Cause route, as well as with the AI forces. Where you are the most potent and have to rely on yourself to deal with human soldiers, the difference is the humans have better AI behind them, the Just Cause will employ better tactics, but you have better speed, hearing, night vision, sight, and reflexes. Meaning you really have to strategize and plan things out because a couple of bullets are still enough to end your pain. Due to something done specifically during the process of making a hybrid individual, they all have a psychological block which makes it impossible for them to kill one another voluntarily. However, there's a specific variety of advanced tranquilizer weapons. Even though they might not be able to kill you, they can still lead to a game over because they captured you. It also means you need to outwit them, rather than relying on your enhanced abilities, because there is a chance you meet another cat person, or even worse, a cat person who has more experience, and is considered a higher ranking enemy. Oh god. Beta Bungstigwar. So where? Beta Bungstigwar is the name of a particular line of guns with special target incapacitating bullets. This I'll elaborate on more later, but these weapons are usually intended for hybrids to use against the West Kingdom. Like certain electrical or sonic type weapons, for example. The part about not killing is more of a secondary hidden reason under the statement of, I need live, non-decapitated individuals who are in as good of a shape as possible. Both statements apply, and the idea was sold to the Nordic Empire as not damaging unfinished products. That the better shape they came in, the quicker they could be genetically modified and arrive on the battlefield. It's a way of getting more individuals for gene therapy, and not causing too much harm, while giving an alternative weapon to someone who might have once been a civilian or soldier of the West Kingdom, who is now a hybrid. That way they won't have to kill people of their own home. All hybrids are different, and compared to normal living ground troops, there is no equal. You, as the main character, would have to tangle with individuals who have capabilities equally as potent as yours. Either varied from yours, or very similar. You could save... Sorry. And perhaps make changes to your character beyond swapping equipment in certain controlled areas like Just Cause. A Russian chimera woman named Varvara Kazakov. She's to a degree larger in build than the average woman at the first glance. She's solid muscle underneath with twice the strength. Her bite can crush bone and claws like knives. Laugh that will make your skin crawl and a loud authoritative voice to match. She isn't as stealthy as her protagonist, but a mountain of an enemy that you can't beat up close and have to strategize around. Not an instant game over, but an impossible fight. Fatigue meters limit the heavy weapons, like an anti-material rifle you can carry. Everything else is free to carry. It takes place entirely in the Nordic Empire. The West Kingdom sends spies to help you. And that's actually it. You know what? I'll give you credits. You sold me hard on the gameplay concept. Just Cause with, like, sniper duels. Or maybe a bit of Assassin's Creed, just full-on, like, dexterity. That does sound genuinely cool as a gameplay concept. This kind of cat girl aesthetic is one of my least favorites. But you know what? There is something to be said of taking serious settings and just spinning them off into the most ridiculous stuff possible. You see that a lot in Japanese anime that try to tackle these sorts of subjects. In terms of feeling bad for playing, they have a private setting on Steam. I hope you realize what you've done, Sprites4Ever. People are going to start adding in just every kind of language, and I'm just going to start falling head over heels. Not in, like, falling in love way, but actually just collapsing to the ground and trying to pronounce, like, Swedish or something. What have you started? Do wish it was expanded upon a little bit more, but I know this was kind of created as a joke concept. But, like, the joke concept, I do think lands pretty decently well. Tort Sing has 3 houses. Please say it's not related to this. That was interesting. Goofy change of pace. Okay, give me 1 second. I need to really quickly check what my timeline is like. Okay, I think... 1 second, let me check what my, what the next ones are. No? You know what? Okay. Here's what I'm going to do. Well, we've covered 4 ideas. We got 4 more left. We're going to divide this episode in half. We'll cover the rest of this tomorrow. Same time, same place. Sorry about this. It's completely my fault. I did not plan this. Well, I guess we can cover one super small thing. One second. I didn't make a free for all. I mean a overlay for this, but from Ekud, which is just Duke backwards. And it, okay. Hey Duke. It's me. Oh no. Okay. What are we doing here? I'm you. No, seriously, this is a bit. You wrote this. You know what you really like? I do indeed genuinely like that. Did you pretend to be excited, or are you too tired? Well, either way, this is a thing that exists. How about you go make that video public, huh? I mean, well, that's a weird thing to say, but I guess if such a video did exist, if there was a ramble going up publicly on the channel right now, I guess we just have to do that. I guess we just have to do it. I'll see you guys tomorrow for part 2 of this peasant's perspective. Later, everybody.